Back to Conversation with Legends. We're here today just going to be talking about the great opportunities and desires to build discipline, consistency, and character. So today's guest, I should say, I had a chance to actually meet Bjorn, actually doing a deal with him. And it's funny because, when you work with people, you go, wow, this represents exactly why I came into real estate. This guy is the guy who I wish every agent was like when I'm doing a transaction, because what he's really capable of doing is understanding the flow of the game. He's not worried about the start or the finish, but what goes on through the flow, so that not only my client feels good, but his client felt good. And it made everything come to a closure where everybody won in that transaction. So joining me today, and then Bjorn, I hope I don't ruin your last name, Farrugia, right? No.
Very close. Very close. Thank you. That's very good, actually. That was good. Yeah, that's pretty
So
much your
wait, let
information.
me talk about you. What you represent, and you built a career. And again, this is why I wanted to actually looking forward to talking to you. But yours is really deep rooted. What you do is you built trust over time. You became a true authority in your community. And it's funny when I talk about people who know you, they're like, "Oh yeah." And it's funny, everything that I've ever heard was always, you know what? He knows the business. And it's funny when I talked about a lot of people, you always get different things, but you have a reputation, and also you have long term thinking, I call it, right? Where your approach is always about the momentum, the growth, and your lasting success. So everybody who's actually watching today and everybody who watches in this future, you know, this is not just about real estate. This is basically where success really comes from. It's the opportunity in what's created. And it's what really is what takes place in it, what you endure through the actual travels and journey in whatever you're doing in your business. So Bjorn, I am so grateful to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate the kind words. Hopefully, I'll live up to all of them. I think it was really a pleasure to do the deal with you. I know you are a market leader also, where you do a lot of business, and the way you conducted yourself, the pedigree of how you kind of guided the client through the process. And it was a tricky deal for sure, but we got it done. And it was interesting from when the client came to when they bought it. They were selling a house, your client. I think, we both were seasoned, and I think we complemented each other in many ways, and also a different style. But at the deep root of it, I think morally what we're about is similar, which is why we're here today. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for inviting me, and again, all the kind words, and happy to be like as open book as much as possible. And anyone listening, they can reach out, and we're happy to share and give back to all the people. Like Stephen and I were once like you all,
Yeah.
and we want to just kind of give back a little bit, of course.
And that's really about our contribution factor, right? That's why we are good at what we do, is because we know that we want to make other people be in that same space that we get to be in every single day. So I'm going to start really before real estate, because there's so much about you, right? So people will actually understand a lot more about you when they understand before real estate where Bjorn was and what were you doing and how did your path and actually lead to this business. Tell us about that.
Good question. I came from Melbourne, Australia, and I always wanted to be a professional tennis player. And I had a big desire to be like Roger Federer. He was always the guy that I loved. Stefan Edberg was also my favorite when I was younger, Roger later. And I had a big why. And not before I read any book, but just me, the burning desire to be the best that I can be was always kind of at the catalyst and forefront of my list every single day. I wanted to, the journey took me to come to America. I got a collegiate scholarship. I left my family from all the way. I left everything that I knew to go to the middle of Georgia and follow my dream. And I think in looking back at that, if I knew what I knew now, I don't know if I would have done that, because that was maybe not the most smartest thing. I think it was a, unquenchable thirst to be the best and to leave it all on the table. I didn't realize that till I got to the airport when there was like 50 people there when I was leaving. And I kind of realized that I'm actually leaving everyone and everything I know to a
Wow.
different culture to follow my dream. It was like, to do that, I think you have to be a certain person, one. And I'm not saying that in a way to boast, but it's hard to leave your family and everything you know go come from where I came from to kind of give it all up to kind of be a professional tennis player. I tried my best at that, and it kind of a lot of the things that I learned along the way. I played a lot of sport, and I think sport taught me a lot of things. I also had a lot of jobs along the way. I was really great at getting jobs, and I felt like I was really good at persuading people to give me a chance. Even when I was little, I was like a paper boy and 10, but I was great at getting jobs, and I think that really helped me communicate with people. And I didn't even realize what I was doing at the time, but having that kind of knack to maneuver the situation and have someone believe you, I think has really helped me a lot in my life, on my journey, being here from the other side of the world, and very much in all the businesses that I've been very blessed to be a part of, and real estate, big time for sure.
It's funny. I remember being a paper boy as well, right?
Right.
And when I was a paper boy, we had to go collect the money from everybody after every single month, right? And I'm getting money from people and they're actually giving me tips.
Right.
I'm like,
Interesting.
well, hold on a sec. I'm getting tips. So I thought, what
We
was
had
I
no tips in
doing that
Australia. We had
created
no
that?
tips. No tips in Australia.
It was funny. So they go, I asked one person, I go, how come you gave me this? She goes, you always deliver it right to where the door should be. And most other people don't. So
Right.
you thought, okay, that's what I'm doing every time and duplicated what created that action, right? So
All those little things that you learn unconsciously when you're
yeah,
10 years old and you don't even know what you're really doing. But they're like, you know what? You absorb those things unconsciously. And I feel like to stand out, to be better, to do
yes.
more than everyone else, to just get that look, that tip or that Zillow request or the listing or the friend to tell their friend in business for
It's
sure.
the funniest thing, so you came from another country
Right.
and you came into our world. And I love the fact because I've had a couple great podcasts with people who are immigrants that came into our country. And it's funny because most of the people I've met and learned, they became successful because of the change in desire and culture they wanted to achieve without worrying about, oh, should this be right? Or how should I do this? So tell me a little bit about that. What was that change for you coming from there to here and going, okay, now I got to adapt? What was the pivot for you?
Adapting was hard, mate. I went to the middle of Georgia. They ate sweet tea and cheese grits, and they didn't cuss a lot, and we cussed a little bit too much. But it's just a totally different mindset. I think doing that was really, that really sculpted me to go to that place because I had to change and adapt that a way that I was before to kind of fit in a little bit. I didn't feel like I really fit in, but I stood out, but also for them to be, palatable with listening to what I have to say and just to try to fit into their space. I feel like, especially going to the Georgia was tough for sure. It was like, it's like there was like one traffic light in the town. It was really tough there.
That's interesting.
I
So,
think, I think coming from another country, one thing I always say to people is kind of like, America is amazing. We're so blessed to be here, and you have so much opportunity, especially in California, but anywhere. If
yeah,
you want to make it, you can make it. And like I was on a plane yesterday and I met this guy and he was like telling me how he wanted to be like a FedEx driver or a UPS driver. And he was 24. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I need some time to relax. I'm like, why do you need to relax? You got nothing but time. You got nothing to your name and no kids and headaches and drama. And you should be working all the time. And why are you trying to be a FedEx driver where you can run a massive company and own like a JSX plane company or crypto or AI, this or like whatever it is? There's so much opportunity here. I just feel like when you come from a different place, you have a different mindset into how fortunate we are to be here.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think it would be amazing if so many people here could get kind of dropped into like Gaza Strip for a few days,
yeah.
or
That would be a
like
change.
the middle of Africa, or
Yeah,
like, some of these war-torn places that are so difficult and people are just happy to eat and have shelter.
right.
And you come here and you just see like your eyes, your lens is very open. And I think for me, I always felt that I deserved more and I wanted more. And I feel like when people tell me that are here, that I feel like they're stuck in this situation. I just feel like it's because they haven't seen how fortunate you are, right? If
Yeah.
you live at Buckingham Palace every day, you don't know how it is to be anywhere else.
Right.
I try for my team. I'm like my team. I'm very accountable to this, and I try to make sure that I remind them every single day about these things. And that's just some of how I see it. And I feel like a lot of different people, different cultural people see it like that, in my opinion.
So, you went through a lot. You went through the tennis strategy. And I'm telling you something, I understand sports. I did it all my life. And it was funny because I think part of that discipline, because again, to be great in tennis and you don't have discipline, you just don't get to be great in tennis, right? But there's also that thing that you built this commitment, and that commitment was higher than most people you can think of when you go, I'm going to go from Australia to the US. And then after that part is you delivered consistency. So, in the thought of that, what drove you to real estate? Where did that start from? Where did you go to? And where did your career start from?
I came here, I studied business, college, played college tennis, D1 junior college, went to Europe. Then I came back, finished school in Atlanta. I think, I think I always envisioned going. I was in New York. I lived in East Hampton for some time. I taught tennis there. Lived in New York. I've started 4 businesses since I've been in America. And I wish I had a better mentor because what I had to learn my way. No one really taught me. I had to figure it out the way that I thought was best for me. I try to be a guide for a lot of people, like I know you are, to try to, if you had a mentor of how to do it, you'd probably get there faster. I'm very blessed for what I've done and my journey, and I wish it upon no one, but at the same time, it's made me who I am. I had a big tennis academy. I had an air filtration system company. I did finance. I worked at 40 Wall Street, Trump Towers, 27th floor. It was kind of like boiler room. But I feel like I did really well in a lot of the businesses that I took on, and I ventured to start. I started them all from pretty much scratch. No one gave me anything, but I always felt that I had a consistency because I feel in business there's like 3 to 4 things that are really, really important for you to be successful. Like you could be the best dentist or the best architect or the best landscape designer or like plumber. But if no one knows who you are, who cares? Right? Because it's
Right.
all about like getting the word out there, like either verbally, like social media, Instagram, papers, postcard, magazines, whatever it is. But it's all about, and people. I could see it's a
Yeah.
people business. So I always felt for me, I started a business in Atlanta. I'd make some money. The first business I made like $13,000. And then I was like, you know what? I met someone in New York, and then they came to California, and I was like, I'm going to try to follow them and see if it can work out. And then I took that $13,000 and I started another business, and I worked relentlessly. Like I would work from like Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock Monday, every day, Tuesday, 6 to 10, Wednesday, 6 to 10, Thursday, 6 to 10, Friday, 6 to 10, then Saturday, like a half a day. I drive an hour to the business every day. And I just worked, and I loved it. I was passionate about it. I never felt like I was working, but I was working hard. And
Yeah.
I think I was blessed to get amazing people like in my real estate business give me opportunity and trust me. I'm so thankful for them. A lot of the businesses I started at the start have helped me get here today. I saved a lot of money in those times. And then I saved some money from 13. I saved like 500. And then I backed myself into starting real estate.
So where did you get there though? Tell me there. Like what goes, oh, real estate now. What was that?
Like my father, he was doing some real estate, but I always felt like for me that my strength would lend itself to real estate. And so many people would tell me this, you'd be great in real estate. And I didn't really pay much attention to it at the start. But then my dad was did some real estate, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. The thing that enticed me about real estate more than all the businesses, because I did really well at the other businesses, I just felt like I would hit a ceiling. And once I hit a ceiling, I'll get bored. And it's like, okay, you can make some more money, the monetary piece, but I wanted more. And I remember in the second business I started, some of the workers, they'll be like, you should negotiate with the company to get more money. And I said, if the company gave me 3 times what they're giving me, I want 10 times more. So it didn't really matter to get 5% more. For me, I wanted 10x. So I didn't really care. And I wasn't sweating the small. 5% of that business was not going to change my life. I was the best salesperson in that business. But going into real estate, which really enticed me, was like there was no ceiling.
Right.
You were the
Right.
direct result of your actions. And
Isn't that crazy?
and I know you because you're a competitive guy as well.
Yep.
And I feel like while that can be gut wrenching and traumatizing and gives you sleepless night, for me, I kind of get excited about that
Yeah. Yeah.
because I want to like be the best that I can be and the best human that I can be. And I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm definitely trying to be the best that I can be and be the best like father and dad, and market leader and God-fearing person and charitable person and the best in my craft. And I feel like for me, that really enticed me about real estate. I also like to win.
Yeah.
And I hate winning. I hate losing 10 times more than I like winning.
Yeah.
I hate to lose. And it's
So
not about, the winning part's not about the monetary thing because I
yeah.
feel like you think about like Kobe, Tiger, Roger
Yeah.
Federer. I know you have Kobe in the background. I'm like, Roger Federer, he doesn't play for money.
No.
Like Kobe doesn't play to get more money. He wants to win the championship. And if you win more, you get more money
Right.
monetarily. And I feel like for real estate, it's like the more wins you get, the more checks you get. And then
You just went through so many big things. You hit so I can't tell
sorry.
you. I'm telling you, everybody's like, wait, hold on a second. There's so much. You hit it, right? And you actually said this when we actually started talking for this Zoom at this podcast. You said, you know, and I felt the same way. And this is what I know you're a true competitor because everybody always used to come to me and say, who's your competition? And I used to look at it every morning in that mirror. I look at it and say, that's my competition. How does that guy get better than me? And the understanding of that creates the result of what you said. People go, well, how much do you earn? And I used to laugh and go, I don't really know. I know how many transactions I've done, but everything comes by the work you do. And if you focus on the wrong things, your actual meaning goes down. And that's where that little complacency for a lot of people start hitting in. And people like you, they don't see that. They go, wait a second, this was nice, but I don't think this is mine. I want more. And so you came into real estate and go back to when you started, okay, in your brain, because there's a lot of people who maybe been in the business a little while, maybe starting the business, maybe people who are been in the business, but now all of a sudden this 2025, 2026 era has shocked them, as you see, like we know 50% of the agents left the business. So when you got into it, what was the hardest thing about real estate for you to learn at first?
The hardest thing for me is I didn't have enough time
Okay.
because I was addicted to it. I was like live, breathe, sleep, eat, dream. I'm reading books. I had no time to absorb the information. And that was becoming overwhelming. I had to stop because I was so excited about it because it was like an unquenchable thirst of like just a faucet, full blast. That's how I am. Like, and I know you're like this, like if we're going to do it, we're going all in, right? And we're going to try to be the best that you can be and not for anyone else, but just for me and you, right? So I feel like to answer that question, I feel time was something that was I felt like was a big challenge for me, which is probably not normal for a lot of people. I feel like I think having a little mattress monetarily, so I didn't worry about the monetary piece at the start at all.
Right.
Like I've like, and I don't even count the checks when they come. I don't even know. I have no idea.
Right.
I'm only trying to close a deal, make sure the client wins. I want a fair deal for everyone, and the checks come. But I feel like to answer your question, I think time was a tough one. I tried to get some good mentors at the start. I literally, when I wanted to, be the best that I could be, I called every single real estate agent except like 3. And I called them, I was like, I'd like to come and meet you for a coffee.
Right.
And tell me what you do. I'd like to learn, what, like a little bit about what you do. And I felt like if I could take one nugget from everyone, a nugget from Tiger, a nugget from Kobe, a nugget from Jordan, a
Right.
nugget from like Andre Agassi. Like, imagine you'd be amazing, right?
Yeah,
And I,
completely.
that's, I don't know if they gave me any nuggets, but I think a lot of them really, the good ones took a little bit of time to have a chat. And I
Right.
was just like, I didn't know anything and I knew nothing, but I kept calling. And I feel, I was really searching for a mentor at the start, which was important. I don't know if I found one, but I think the time was something that made it tricky for me at the start because I didn't have enough time to learn
Well,
the information. Hopefully that
so
answers.
so let me kind of give a little bit of information to know about you, right? First of all, you work in proper LA. You work in that Santa Monica and Brentwood and everything around it because you're well known in those areas and in LA. The thing that people don't know is how competitive your market is. Like there's everybody who wants to be everybody, but there's a unknown of who's really real and who's not. It's the craziest world you live in. And all my friends who live who do this.
Very different to where you guys are.
Yeah.
Very different. I think, I'm happy to answer any questions regarding that, but it's ruthless, hostile, drama filled. And, I just try to stay in my lane and just, I don't
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, you're always going to have people that are going to talk and they're going to hate. But the people that know, they know because the clients know. And if you're growing and getting a lot of business, it's because the clients know that you're doing
Right.
an amazing job and it's good. And,
Right.
Grant Cardone, I don't know if you've read that book.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's like you got to have some haters. He's always saying that, and I feel like everyone's you can't. It is what it is. But I know I'm good with who I am. I'm very God fearing, very centered, and I know God is with me every day. So I know He's the most important person that I have to be accountable to for me.
So let's hit this. You have had how many years in real estate?
Probably about 10, 12 years now. It's been
Okay, great. So this is great because this will be driver for a lot of people. You're really good for 10 to 12 years. You have a established strategy, structured business from my point of view. I did a lot of research, followed what some of the things that you were doing, and this is why I'm excited about having you here. But here's the thing I want to ask you, okay? Was there ever time in the first 5 years that you said, is this the right business for me?
It's a great question. I want to preface like I know that we are very similar vibe, which is why I elected to do the podcast with you because I know we're very aligned and vibe wise, and you're very the way we're cut from we're very similar cloth. So I know the things, very kind things you're saying about me. I appreciate it, but I know I I ditto them to you because I know you're very similar to
Thank
that
you.
for sure. Can you repeat the question again?
Yes. So why your first 5 years you're getting in this business, was
Right.
there ever anything questioning you like, is this right for me?
Yes, there was. There was a moment. I'm going to write a book, and one day I'm going to put it in the book.
And you should.
I want to. Um, it was at the 8 year mark of starting my business, and the 8 month mark, 8 month, and I made $10,000 in the first 8 months. And I was weaning out of the other business because the other business was massive, but I didn't want to just let it go because I didn't know if I was going to make it in real estate. And I thought I wanted to kind of slowly get into it, kind of wean out of the other business. I thought that was smart to do. If I knew what I knew now, I would have just gone all in straight away. But I did it the smartest way for me because I'm from here and I don't have anyone. So I got to back. I built a big business. I didn't want to let that go. At the 8 month mark, I made $10,000. And I was like, you know what? $10,000, mate, maybe that's not a lot of money. Man. I've been grinding away for like 8 months. I did a part-time also for 2 years as an assistant for someone to kind of learn the game. I would recommend if you're starting real estate, you do not want to start real estate and go up against Stephen and me. You want to
Right.
work with Stephen or with someone like me or someone like us to learn the game, someone that does deals, someone that's kind, take you under the wing, but like no one's going to give you anything. You got to get it yourself. But if you can be on a team that lets you get exposure to deal flow, you'll know if it's for you, in my opinion, just for the listeners out there. But I think at the 8 month mark, in my opinion, 10 grand, I'm like, that's ridiculous. I started to think about maybe I should go back into my tennis academy. I had a big job there and I was like amazing in that space, very fortunate, good clients. And I started to think about my real estate, like going back to tennis. And I remember one day I woke up at 4:45 every day. I sat on the side of the bed after working from 6 to 10 for like literally, I don't even know how many hours that was. And I was like, how am I going to do this for the rest of my life? And I was like, I wanted more. And I said, I'm going to stick with this real estate thing. And the first end that from the 8 months making $10,000, that year I made $90,000 in my
Right.
first year of real estate. And I worked on a team. And I was like, that amount of money, along with like as I was doing tennis as well, together, that was the most money that I made in the best year of my tennis life. And I did amazing, very fortunate in tennis, but you only have so many hours in tennis. You have to be there in the sun. And I love tennis. I was named after Bjorn Borg, famous tennis player. I gave my life
That
up
was
to.
one of my favorites, by the way.
No, he's a gentleman, like the ladies. You have a lot in common there, but like to have fun. But I'm saying, if I thought if I can make 90 in my first year of real estate and parlay that with like part-time weaning out of my tennis business, together being my best year in my life monetarily from a business perspective, from the tennis business, sky's the limit. But I did have that kind of rubber meets the road moment. And I mean, I just kind of kept persevering. And all the leads that I was building in the 8 months, they take time, right? I
Yep.
look at my leads as like red, green, yellow. And a lot of them were yellow, they were becoming green. And the reds were becoming like a soft green or soft yellow, but it takes time. I think in starting a real estate business, you need to invest like at least a year to
Yeah.
18 months,
Yeah.
minimum 18 months. And I tell the guys on my team, you're making no money for 18 months. And you should have a side hustle or some money.
Yeah.
You can't be worrying about the checks at the start because it's not
Yeah.
about the checks, it's about learning. So hopefully that answers your questions there.
So, yeah, you did. And it's funny because you got into this discussion earlier, and it's great because, you know, you're the difference between waiting for opportunity that was right for you to actually make an opportunity right for you. So, in that discussion, what habits? Because I want to go here because this is where I think people don't get. I don't care what business you're in, but what habits, or let's call them disciplines, did you commit to truly change your trajectory of your business? Because you went from there, boom, higher, 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 right? So, what were your habits or disciplines that helped you get there?
Mate, I just feel like it's a great question. I'm very accountable to me. And
But go there. But go there.
I'm very, I don't, I'm very demanding. I have a high expectation and I keep all the guys and people on my team to this level. They tell me their goal and then they go sidetrack. And I'm like, well, you told me your goal's that. And then you tell me this ridiculous comment. So for me, it's very much about super accountable to me. I do what I say they should do. So if I can do it, you should do it. And me and you, we don't need to do those things, but I do them because I'm accountable to myself. I don't feel like I've ever waited for anything. Mate, when
No.
you leave your family and come to the other side of the world to try to be a professional tennis player with not a lot, come from where I came from, mate, you don't have a lot of, you're not waiting for that. You have like shiny kind of vision. You won Wimbledon and you just go, I just went all in. And, for me, I wake up early. I'm very disciplined. I get my mind right. I feel like I get my body right. I think God is a big part of for me, my journey, my family, my babies. But I'm always trying to improve.
So it's cool because you do have that, right? You know, the idea that, and let's get in there, right? Because people just don't understand preparation, right? Like, we talk about Kobe
Right.
and everybody goes, wow, he made a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. But he was way more prepared and way
Totally.
more disciplined. He
Mhm.
was do things what others wouldn't do. And that's how I always took my business. Like, I'm going to do the things that everybody else won't do, like be prepared early, start early, strategize, take care of my body first, take care of my mind, get in there so I can be better for my team.
Right.
So let me ask you a couple questions. So when opportunity actually came in to play for you and you actually started succeeding in it, what part did preparation helped you get to those moments and momentum?
Just got to wake up earlier.
Yeah.
You got to get up early. and be prepared. I think working out's important to keep your mind straight
Yeah.
and for your body and for your longevity. But for me, I really feel like I need more hours.
Yeah.
And
That's funny.
I was telling my wife, I was like, just now, I was like, I always feel like I'm behind.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
It frustrates me so much. And I'm so organized also. But I always feel like I guess I need more help. I don't know what it is. I speak to a lot of like I have some mentors and I ask them like big, powerful business people. Everyone has their own thing, but I feel like getting up early is really important. I think also reading and understanding the market. Like this is like I make it my business to know every single thing about everything. I'm always reading about the market, selling on, off market. For as you know this, I know this. When you're doing business for some time, you know what the people do in the house and what their friends do and what the neighbors do and what their occupation is and where their kids go to school. All those layers are super powerful. At the start, you don't know those things, but you know what you have at the start? Time. And you have opportunity cost of time. And when my guys on my team and people tell me they got nothing going on, I'm like, you know what? You got time. You should be only trying to chase business because what
That
else?
discussion is always the truth.
You know
That's
what
the
I mean?
discussion of the truth.
It
If
is.
if there's open time, then what are you doing in the open time?
It's like I got guys on my team telling me, well, they had a bad season. I'm like, well, what have you been doing? Then they tell me all these things, and I'm like, that's just a bunch of bullshit. I don't even know. That's nothing. That makes no sense. And I'm very like a very straight shooter and be more very direct. But I think if I could give some people some nuggets, I would say, you're not getting more time. You're getting less time.
Right.
And when you're 24, you don't know that.
Mm-mm.
But like when you're, Stephen probably knows that more than me. And I feel like I'm very young and vibrant, but I'm like, mate, I'm not even going to use all this monetary thing that I'm doing in my life. It's for my babies and my
Yeah.
legacy. And
Right.
it's just because I want to make sure they're looked after. And it goes to the why.
Yeah.
And I think wake up early is important. And I think read a lot, get knowledge. Knowledge is power. Reading books, you're learning things from knowledge from other people that already did it,
Right.
which is going to help you get there quicker. That is so, you're buying time. I
Yeah.
want to buy 10 years of time. Can I buy that? How much is that worth? You
Yeah.
can't do it. The book is the power. I met that guy, Tim Grover, who wrote the book,
Yeah.
who was like Kobe's
Yep.
coach and Jordan's coach. Like Kobe would work with Tim in the gym, then they'd leave the gym. Kobe would go around the back of the gym and go back in the gym and keep shooting. Tim
Right.
had to go in the gym and tell him to stop because he was unhealthy. So,
Right.
like Steph Curry does the same thing. Like this guy shoots like 500, 1,000 shots every day. Like,
Yeah.
of course, he's making 3-pointers like he's in the park backflipping. Oh, because like he shoots so much. No one knows the little things that the successful people do. They like when you get a listing. They like when you win the NBA championship and you win Wimbledon, but they don't see all the work that goes
Never.
into it. You know what I mean? So I think waking up early, I think reading books and just knowing the market's so big because when you get that look, when you're new and you sit the open house and the person's sizing you up,
Yep.
mate, if you have like 3 to 5 hundredths of a second, maybe a second, maybe. If they feel you don't know your voice, the inflection, the way you deliver your message, the confidence that you have in how you pitch. I have guys in our team trying to learn how to speak differently, like NLP. I know you know about this.
100%.
So valuable because you get one shot, and if you don't know what you're saying, Stephen and Bjorn are coming there to take the business. So I'm
Right.
not saying we're trying to do that, but if you could be better at those things, those 3 takeaways are super valuable in my opinion.
That's amazing. So your typical day, right? Because people's typical day are a lot different than ours, and they come in a different phase. And I try to tell my team, here's how I suggest, for my opinion, how
You're
to
very
keep
nice. The way
negativity
you said
out.
you're very suggest and nice. That's very PC. I like that.
You got to
Of
remember, you got all these different voices.
course.
So your typical day, how does it go?
Oh, mate. Wake up early, pray, affirmations, stretch, workout. For me, it takes me, so I got to get the first 30 minutes is me. That's my
Yeah.
time. I'm not,
Yeah.
I also sometimes go on walks. Like if you walk at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's like God's time. The birds are chirping. It's like peaceful. It's like therapeutic. You get your mind straight. My mind's very sharp, I feel, but I just do that because it's just peaceful. It's like
Right.
being like a
Right.
heavenly place, in my opinion.
It's
Very
your gift. It's your 30-minute gift.
totally. So, I do some of those things in the morning, I work out, and then I try to start my day. I try to carve out some time from like 6:30 to like 8 o'clock to be with my family, my
Mhm.
babies. They're the most important things in my day. They're some of the best things in my life. Just spending those moments. Like you don't get to get those moments again. I didn't know this. Like you don't get a redo on those
Right.
moments.
No
And I know
way.
you know that because you're an amazing father and good, have some babies. So you would appreciate that. But if you don't have that, you should, get centered for you and do whatever that is. You may pray, yoga, Pilates, whatever it is, something to
Yeah.
get your body moving and get your mind sharp. I'm trying to be time blocking. I think that's really, really important for me.
Thank you.
And I
I've been
feel like I
talking
can,
that all the time.
I feel
Everybody in
like
my team's listening to you going, oh, he just said time blocking.
if you have no deals
Yeah.
and you have no business, there's no reason, nothing should supersede lead generating time blocking. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like you eat, you breathe the oxygen, you drink. But if you want to make it and you have no deals, there's one of the fifth biggest economies here in LA, California. Like there's no reason for that. And wherever you are, there's opportunity if you want it. And I always think like if it's not working for you or like, you're not feeling it, like change the environment. If it doesn't work, change it. That's my home always.
Yeah.
So, waking up, workout, then babies, try to time block. I think the best time blocking hour is like 8:30 to 11. That's an amazing time blocking hour. You have to win the morning.
Right.
There's so many books on this, but I feel like and also make the hard calls first.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's big time for me. And
100%.
every year I read this book, and I'm sure you've read it, that $1 Million Listing Agent book.
Yeah. Yeah. Gary Keller. Yeah.
I think I've read this book like 50 times probably.
Right.
Every year I read it because you're in a different stage and you take away different nuggets. And I'm like, real estate and any business is a lead generating business. It's like breathing.
Yep.
If you don't like to breathe, you will die. It's not rocket science. It's pretty straightforward stuff, right?
Right.
Time blocking is really important. And then I think during the middle of the day, try to follow up. I have a lot of meetings with people. I play a lot of golf and tennis with clients. They are very blessed to go to some of the best places in the world for that. And I think during the middle of the day, from like 11 to like 4, 5, and then after that, catch up, probably spend some more family time, and then when the babies go down, try to I dot the I's, cross the T's on everything, and get ready for the next day. My biggest takeaway this is really important. I think like you cannot go to the day of real estate and start doing homework in the match. The day is a game.
Right.
Like, Kobe's not doing free throws in the game at Staples Center. He's doing that before and after. Right. So whatever that works for you, you should say you need rest and all that. But to me, like if you don't have enough deals and you want rest and you don't have deals, then you know what? You're not going to make it. Right. And like that's just what it is. And you may make it, but it may take longer. And you may be able to wait a long time, but I don't want to wait.
Right.
I want to now.
Right.
So I feel like, I think these are hopefully that's kind of like.
No, that's amazing. So let's go into this one last part on the real estate side. When you're pivoting, right? And you're thinking about, what's out there, you're building your business. What was one of was one of my lead generation sources that I said, yes, I can align to this and make this one lead generation source one of my top sources to build business. What was that for you?
Hey, listen, we did a lot of open houses, right? I knew no
Yeah.
one, came from nowhere, knew nothing, didn't go to USC, UCLA, wasn't a member at Bel-Air Country Club yet, or Riviera or LACC. So, like, we do, work on a team, get some opportunities,
Hmm.
and make sure I'm prepared for the opportunity. Make
Hmm.
sure when the doors open, I'm ready to give myself the best chance to get the opportunity. Make sure I'm the best that I can be educated wise and knowing the market. I think there's not one way to do it.
No,
I
no.
believe like the
Okay.
best blanket. You got a blanket, right?
But you know, it's funny. You have being around you and learning more about you. You have an ability to make relationships work around you. And a lot of people don't understand how that works, right? I would say you built a really good sphere of people and you keep them.
No, I
So
know, I know you've done the same. One of my
yeah,
clients from my tennis business here in California sold their house. You sold them a house
yeah,
where you do business,
yeah,
and they
yeah,
had an amazing experience. They saw when I posted it, so I know you have that same
right.
sphere draw and pull. So yeah, okay, so go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So let's think about this. Um, when you were sitting there in your point where you're building and you're creating that path, let's just talk about that. How did you learn to differentiate yourself from your competition? Because you have a huge competition area.
My competition's me.
Yeah, but you looked at how to be you. What was there going to be you? What you were you going to be in order to be competitive with? I mean, look at you're in a really area that's huge, you
No,
know?
it's a great question. I feel like I'm me. I can't be anything but me. I'm from Australia. I think my name and being from Australia definitely is something that stands out as this different. There's not a lot of Bjorns from Australia. I feel that. But at the same time, you have to know what you're doing. You have to be good. You have to bring the heat. You have to service the client to the best of the ability because you can be charming and maybe nice and have a nice accent. But if you can't deliver, people are not going to give you a shot, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah.
I feel I don't know the answer to the question. All I would say is I just dove in and just I felt this is what in meeting a lot of the biggest agents, 90% of the agents make no money, as you know that.
Yeah.
Normally there's 20-20 rule. I think it's 90-10 in
Oh,
our business.
yeah.
And of the 10% of the people, so 90% don't make it, and 10% make it. But 50% of that 10% are horrendous.
Right.
Like they're not good people.
Right.
They don't do good things to help the and as you mentioned, our landscape here,
Right.
very ferocious. Anywhere where there's a lot of monetary means, it's super resourceful.
Yeah.
People can be. I'd
Definitely.
say very Stephen way, PC way. But I think, I felt like I was different and I felt like I bring a different voice. And while I wanted to make the deal, I felt like I never had commission breath because
Yeah.
I didn't really, I was about the people. And I try to advise people on what would I do.
Yeah.
When I sell, I want the most money. And I want to buy, I want to get the best deal. And
Yeah.
when I look at the house when they want to sell it, I'm like, you know what? I would paint this and do this and change these things to make it the best that it can be if you have the means to get you the most.
Right.
Anyone can sell a house if you put a sign up in a great location. It's going to sell, but we want
Right.
to beat the market. We want
Right.
to get more money and do a better job than the average. And I felt some of the industry, many people that were doing amazing were not good people.
Hmm.
And I didn't love the way they did it. And real estate agents have a bad reputation. And it's not because of, I'm not saying that it gave us a bad reputation, but I'm like, why can't you do it in a way that you can be ferocious and competitive and relentless, but be fair and be kind and be honest and try to give back and do the best that you can be? And you're not perfect, but just why do you have to be like that kind of for money? That's
So,
just
the thing you're going out to, and this is actually leading right into where I wanted to go with you on that, because people don't understand this. Like, we have so many complicated parts. It's not always the sell of the home, it's getting through the escrow of the home to get
that's
to
a
the
whole
end.
but
And people never see what goes on in the background.
our deal was a big part of that. That's another whole part of it. Like getting a listing, great. Selling it, hot, totally another story. That's a
Yeah,
totally different ball.
exactly. And so, you know, yeah, for this is why I wanted you to have this discussion with me because I found standards that you had. You just have these standards. And it's something like you said earlier, those are the 50% of the 10% that do actually have standards, right?
Mhm.
So, what standards have you refused to compromise, even if it cost you business that made you who you were?
Honesty is the most important thing, 1 billion%.
Hmm.
I I would never compromise honesty and not telling the truth, my gut instinct for a deal.
Yeah,
Deal's not going to change my life, even at the start. Like I would never do that. That's not how I'm wired. It's just like a DNA thing. In every business that I've started, it's just I'm always honest, even if it's not good.
yeah,
Always. Even if it's not going to get me the deal at the moment, somehow, some way, it always works out. It's hard at the start to be like that
yeah,
because you want the monetary piece.
right,
But I know, even now, I think agents that are seasoned and have been doing business like you and I, the more you're like that, the more business you get.
right,
The more of a trusted resource you are. They don't feel like you're trying to sell them. You're just trying to advise them, like, what would I do? And they feel that. And I
right.
know you're very similar to this, but honesty, most important thing. Always, always. This is the most important thing for me. Cornerstone of everything that I do in my life. I always want to be honest.
So let's shift in that thought, because here's another thought that you and I always seen, right? We seen everybody come in our business for a brief moment, let's call it. They come in our business. Some of them call us, hey, can you give me some advice? Or, hey, I'm thinking about this, but you hear one, it doesn't fit the culture of the business. Two, you already see the behavior is not in the right direction. So in that discussion, many succeed briefly,
Right.
right? What do you think helped you last and grow so long? Because you've seen other ones come in and then go. And they also by real estate climate. They're in when it's easy, they're out when it gets difficult.
Yes.
Tell me the difference of that with you.
I love when it's difficult because when
There
it's
you go.
difficult, that's where the cream rises to the top when it's difficult.
Yeah,
Right? When it's hard, it's easy to be good when it's easy and hard to be good when it's hard. Right? It's easy to do business when it's easy and hard to do business when it's hard. And I think the good can kind of survive and the cream rise to the top. Um, could you say the question again?
yeah. So again, you created this long term of a business, and I'm telling you, you've seen it because people are out early or out because of
Okay,
climate.
I got it. I think it's kind of like just it's doing the things that no one sees you do when no one's there. And
Thank you. That is an amazing answer right there.
that's what it is. Like I'm not trying to flex and show and drive a Lambo and like that's not my style. And if you want to do that, that's amazing. I love Lambos, they're awesome. But I'm about getting there, doing the things that I said I'm doing, being accountable to them. And some days it is hard. It's not every day is easy. But that's the difference between having a sustainable business. It's doing it consistently when you don't want to doing it and doing it when it's hard and showing up every day. But you also have to keep growing
Yeah,
because I think if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
right.
Wouldn't you agree, Stephen?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's why you're doing these things. You want to grow and grow. There's so many parts of life you can grow. I met Tony Robbins recently. I went to one of his he spoke.
Right.
Amazing. Like this guy, just his position on how he thinks, and he has like billions of dollars. It's not about the
No,
money.
not
It's
about money.
about if you can get to that full circle moment in life, it's such a blessing from God if you can get to that moment. But I think none you gotta show up and you gotta do the things when no one sees you doing it because it's the little things that are
Right.
most important things.
I think it goes along with your
Right.
commitment, right?
Right.
It's like you're saying this even in a discussion, let's take it even to a simple level, right? When you say time block, right? A lot of agents like to work at home, and you go, great, work at home, but what is your behavior like when no one's looking?
That's what it
Like
is.
if you were in front of them, would they act the same way as when they're by themselves at home? And it's funny because you and I have come through the same kind of theory of, hey, first of all, for myself, I was there before anybody ever got to the office. When I went to my first real estate office, I'm like, I'm there at 8 o'clock in the morning going, where is everybody?
Right,
Because I wanted to call expireds. I wanted to start that game.
right.
And everybody's not around. And I'm like, when does everybody start? You know? And
No,
then when everybody starts trickling in 10, 11 o'clock, I'm like, who are these people, right?
we get about 3 to 5 calls a day on people that want to join the team.
Yes.
What we want people, we only want a certain type of people.
Culture.
Big time. And our cultures, we're very tight knit. I know what everyone's doing. My business partner and me work more than every single person on the team, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why these people are like telling me they want their goal and then they're not making their number, and I'm working more than them, which I don't even need to go to work. I mean, it's hard to show up every day. And,
Yeah.
sometimes life's tough and, it ebbs and flows. You go through different moments, I'm learning. But it's, you just got to you just got to do it consistently. Even if it's not the best, you got to try your best every single day.
Yeah.
And it builds momentum. And, momentum in a deal, like every business is about its momentum's big,
Right.
in my opinion.
It's
Would you
always,
agree
it always is. You know, it's funny when I've got a lot of discussions, we do the same thing. Always get like 3 to 5 come in and want to join the team, but we have a culture and it's hard to bring someone on to a culture that's really well driven and
right,
understands systems and understands the flow of what we do.
right.
So if you bring and we call it a disease into the game, it also starts bringing everybody else in that same space. And so in this career, I wanted to see you, for example, when you're going through this and you eventually get to the place where you're like, it's not really beyond the sales numbers. What's the thing that I'm going to look back on to that you're going to say, that was me? That was what it was for me. What would that be? Because this is the legacy for you.
So for me, yes, 100%, 100%, yes. I feel like just want to be known as like a very blessed and grateful person. Thankful to all the amazing people in my community that gave me an opportunity, that took a punt on me when I started. I'm forever grateful to those people. Want to give back to my community, church, be an amazing father, be an amazing husband, and just try to be the best human that I can be for my people, and try to be a role model to show you that if where I came from, it can be done, and if I can do it, you can do it, and to believe in it. But nothing happens without hard work, and no one's going to give it to you. You can get 1 or 2 listings from your uncle or grandfather or your cousins, cats, dogs, friends, whatever. But we're trying to build a business, and you do that through doing consistency, good, honest, trusting, hard work kind of mindset. And you got to give back. I think there's some of the things.
So let's go forward then, right? Let's figure it out. We got into 2026. And we hear all the rumble, we hear all the noise, we hear all the static going on, right?
I don't hear anything.
Right. That's the point I'm going to make to you. So here's a thought. I love this because that's exactly what I would say. The idea is, I tell my team, I say, we're in a bubble.
Right.
Our bubble is we're just working, doing our job, and there's really no noise or bubble, because everybody said in 2025 we grew another 25%, and we're laughing. We're like, this is awesome. But they're like, God, every single time I get in a deal with an agent, they're talking about the sorrows. And I'm like, see, that's the static. That's the noise. Forget the noise. You're in a bubble. Let's just enjoy the travel, right? But for you, what's your next 5 years look like? What's going to be your long-term, vision or outlook for you?
I think I coined this comment, and I think whoever's listening to this, I think if I wish I knew this at the start, I would say, in my opinion, I know Stephen's a good component of this. He's a good advocate of this. I would say you do real estate to make money, to buy real estate, to not do real estate. I love real estate. I'll always do real estate. But at the end of the day, it's about your legacy. You're only getting less time. Buy real estate, invest your money, share it, give it to people that are less fortunate. Give back to the community, thank the people, and be so blessed for the people that gave you the opportunity to get it. But we get so many looks. Why are we making our clients rich? We should buy some real estate too. Not a lot of people say that, I think, But I think that's really important as a person to make the people have their own legacy and life and own your life. So then have my life on my terms, where I don't need someone to tell me to do what to do. I do it because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. And I'm going to have like residual income coming to me. So my family and legacy, they're going to be good. So really, we can hang out with the people we love. Because at the end of the day, it's all about spending time with the people you love and your family, in my opinion.
It's funny. There's so many great things that you've actually shared today, and I'm sure the whole community has an opportunity to listen, and who will listen later too. You know, as we wrap up this conversation, what stands out for me and what you have built is not how it was, how you built it. That's the key thing. And this is a reminder about real success. And no matter what you do, it isn't what you said. Like you said, it's not loud, it's not fast, it's not flashy. It's basically an earned quietly over time through discipline, integrity, and the decisions that you make when no one is actually watching. I love that comment you made. You know, and legacy isn't really something you talk about at the end of your career. And as you and I both know, it's something that you build every day, right? And Bjorn, your story is a proof that when you commit to, say, standards, people, and the long game, the results take care of themselves. So, what I want to say, Bjorn, thank you for sharing so much in your story and your perspective. If someone doesn't stand here or sit here or whatever they do and write a good amount of notes and just take those little nuggets you gave, and as everybody's listening, all I'm going to say is keep building something that lasts. Bjorn has basically given you some really thoughts of what helped him to make things last long. And this is where he's going in the future. And this is what he contributes. The one last thing I want to say is he said the same thing I would say. If you're just doing it and not building it, it's not going to last for long. If you're not buying it, but you're preaching it, start buying it more. Right? So I want to thank you again very much. And I look forward to hanging out with you in the future here. And just, anybody, you'll see Bjorn all over the place. You'll see his information. Click into him if you have questions. But most of all, if you have anybody going in LA proper, Santa Monica, Brentwood, Malibu, I don't care where, he is the man you want to actually connect to and do business with, because your client is never going to have such an amazing experience with someone as professional as Bjorn. So thank you again, Bjorn. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the good vibes. Thanks for your time. I know we're very aligned in how we do things. Hopefully people took some takeaways from it and help them on their journey. Our office is in Beverly Hills. We do real estate all over LA. We're always here as a trusted resource, but most importantly, you've got to do the work. You've got to time like a little bit and be accountable to doing the right thing always, in my opinion.
Thank you. Well, listen, have a great day. Let's talk soon.
Make it a great day. Look forward to catching up. Cheers.
You bet. Bye.